The ad hoc committee will be reconvening for the completion of Paul O'Sullivan's testimony after he complained that he was not in good health. And so the proceedings adjourned for the evening without the completion of his testimony. In fact, at that particular moment, he was answering questions from the ANC's chief whip, Mdumiseni Ntuli. And so what we saw, you speak about that particular blistering exchange between Paul O'Sullivan as well as Julius Malema. And that particular exchange was because of the questions that were being asked by Julius Malema to the witness in relation to his education and qualifications. And he said that he did not want to disclose that because you remember that part of the terms of reference of the ad hoc committee is to look at political interference and as well as criminal infiltration in the criminal justice system, but also looking at people who may be in positions that are not supposed to be in because they lack the requisite qualifications to be in those particular positions. And I think that is why the ad hoc committee was really pressing and forging ahead in terms of asking those particular questions about what qualifies Paul O'Sullivan to have the alleged influence that he has within the South Africa's law enforcement machinery. And so he then said that he did not want to answer those questions because you remember that he also was head of security at the airport company South Africa around 2001. And so what led to that particular appointment was Julius Malema's assertion that, in fact, he was not qualified to be in that position, and that is why that exchange took place. But it was also the assertion by Action SA's Darylene James about Paul O'Sullivan allegedly receiving money from Crime Intelligence's slush fund. So that is a secret service account of crime intelligence that is meant to assist in combating and preventing crime. And so it was Paul O'Sullivan that actually lamented the secrecy around the secret service account, saying that that is what allows criminal elements and corruption around that particular money, because he also says that at the moment, the budget of crime intelligence is around, I think it was around 600 million, he said. And so that is a cause for concern, according to him, because there is no mechanism to see how that particular money is being spent. So that is a cause for concern. But it was Darylene James that said that he, in fact, had received money from this particular fund. Let's take a listen.
Of 100,000 rand. Did not come from the Crime Intelligence slush fund. It came from the DSO's C fund. And it's not in 2007. It was in 2006. And it was a refund for monies that I spent. Sorry, Chairman, if I have to sit here and have somebody making body language faces at me while I'm giving an explanation, I will then have to turn and look at you and not the honourable member.
You only spent 22,500. It's on the application form.
Chairman.
You said you did not receive any funds ever.
Honourable James, may we please allow the witness, give him chance to respond to your questions.
Thank you, Chairman. It's a refund of expenses I've incurred at the request of the DSO, which was then called the Scorpions, for two things. The one was for security, additional security arrangements put in place for a witness who was afraid for his life. And this is in connection with the Scorpions investigation, the DSO, carried out in respect of the late Jackie Salebi.
Now, Malu, it was the DA's Glenys Breitenbach as well as the Patriotic Alliance's Ashley Sauls that came to Paul O'Sullivan's defense because they highlighted some discrepancies in that particular proof of payment, because it reflects on the same proof of payment. It reflects 100,000 Rand, but at the bottom also reflects R1 million. So at the site of it, the first site of it, Glenys Breitenbach said her experience as a former prosecutor already tells her that that particular evidence is not credible, as well as Ashley Sauls, who said that he was able to corroborate the testimony of Paul O'Sullivan that that particular payment was for work that had been done by Paul O'Sullivan in assisting the Scorpions in their various investigations, also saying and hailing Paul O'Sullivan for the work that he has done to combat crime in South Africa. But also there were questions around his relationship with former executive director at IPID, Robert McBride. You remember that that is a relationship that has been under scrutiny about whether Paul O'Sullivan exercised undue influence within IPID during that particular tenure. He said that, in fact, he has not been in communication with IPID after the tenure of Robert McBride. You remember that former police minister Bheki did not renew his contract in 2018, and that is the time when Paul O'Sullivan said his communication with the directorate also ceased. But also whether there were any financial benefits for Robert McBride during this time, because you remember that the allegation is also that Paul O'Sullivan wanted Robert McBride to assume that particular position of National Police Commissioner after that particular Pahlane task team that would see Khomotso Pahlane, the former acting National Police Commissioner, ousted from the top cop post in the SAPS. Let's take a listen.
McBride was represented by Adams and Adams. And the reason I made the donation was because, having opened the docket in 2016 in February, by the middle of the year, nothing had happened. No investigation was taking place. And I was satisfied that the country's police service was being run by a corrupt commissioner of police.
Okay, so would Mr. McBride have been aware of your contribution? Was the contribution to him personally, or did it go to the lawyers representing him?
I paid Adams and Adams. I didn't discuss it with Mr. McBride.
Because,
I paid the VAT on it as well. It was
yes, if my memory serves, he wasn't aware of a personal contribution made by you to his legal fees.
No.
All right, Paul O'Sullivan there answering questions from MPs. Zoleka Kotasha, thank you so much for your time.
Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating allegations of interference in the criminal justice system has heard testimony from forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan. His appearance forms part of an ongoing parliamentary inquiry examining claims of political infiltration, corruption, and misconduct within key law enforcement agencies. The committee was established to assess serious allegations suggesting that elements within the criminal justice system may have been compromised by political interests. The inquiry is tasked with determining whether there has been undue influence over investigations, prosecutions, and internal disciplinary processes within law enforcement structures. During his testimony, O'Sullivan addressed what he described as systemic weaknesses that have allowed alleged misconduct to flourish. As a forensic investigator, known for his involvement in high-profile corruption cases, he provided insight into patterns he believes point to institutional interference and a lack of accountability. The committee's mandate includes examining whether law enforcement bodies have been manipulated to protect certain individuals while targeting others. Allegations under review suggest that political considerations may have influenced operational decisions, including appointments, suspensions, and case prioritization. O'Sullivan reportedly highlighted concerns about transparency within certain units, arguing that oversight mechanisms have not always functioned effectively. He stressed the importance of independent investigations free from political pressure, stating that public trust in the justice system depends on fairness and impartiality. Members of the committee questioned O'Sullivan on specific cases and structural challenges within policing agencies. Discussions included internal disciplinary processes, whistleblower protections, and the broader implications of political interference on the rule of law. The inquiry comes amid broader national debates about governance, accountability, and institutional reform. Allegations of infiltration within law enforcement structures have raised concerns about the integrity of investigations and the credibility of the justice system as a whole. Legal experts note that parliamentary oversight plays a critical role in democratic systems. Committees such as this one are empowered to summon witnesses, gather documentation, and make recommendations aimed at strengthening institutional integrity. The testimony also touched on the challenges faced by investigators who pursue sensitive cases. Issues such as intimidation, internal resistance, and bureaucratic obstacles were reportedly discussed. O'Sullivan emphasized that effective reform requires both structural change and strong political will. Committee members are expected to continue hearing testimony from additional witnesses in the coming weeks. The inquiry aims to compile a comprehensive report detailing its findings and recommendations. These could include proposals for legislative amendments, improved oversight mechanisms, or structural adjustments within law enforcement agencies. Public reaction to the inquiry has been mixed. Some view it as a necessary step toward restoring confidence in the justice system, while others caution against politicizing oversight processes. Analysts suggest that the credibility of the committee's final report will depend on the transparency and thoroughness of its proceedings. The outcome of the investigation could have significant implications for governance and public accountability. If allegations of interference are substantiated, reforms may be required to safeguard the independence of criminal justice institutions. As the inquiry continues, attention remains focused on whether it will lead to meaningful institutional changes. For many observers, the central issue is ensuring that law enforcement agencies operate independently, free from political influence, and guided solely by the rule of law.